Hi, this is Bobby Chiu, and thanks for listening. This is another edition of my videocast, podcast, whatever you want to call them. And this podcast is actually dedicated for a good friend of mine that I met in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, named Bo. Awesome guy, works for IBM, computer guy, or is he? Because it's funny that, us as a population, we tend to look at people and we always want to categorize them. We always want to categorize them so we understand them better. What does this person do? What do you do? So on and so forth. And that's how, I got it, when I was working at Nelvana. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, it was a great experience, and I actually, was very thankful for my experience at Nelvana as a computer guy. So when I met Bo, it really reminded me a lot about myself, back then. So Bo, this one is dedicated to you, buddy. Um, Bo, he works at IBM, but his true passion is art. He draws like a fiend whenever he can, and it was kind of like the same thing that I would do. Back when I was at Nelvana, I was called a data manager, and I would just transfer files from one computer to the other. Really not so fun stuff, not so challenging stuff. But it really was perfect for me because I could do this drone work, and they still allowed me to draw and paint, and or not paint, but draw in my little sketchbook and stuff when the computer was chugging away, copying files and things like that. As long as I got my work done. So it really help me out. And that's why, if you haven't heard my other podcast, that's why I always say that I would rather have a job that I really didn't like, that was unrelated to art, than to have a bad art job just so I can work as an artist. I would rather, do things that I wouldn't really enjoy, like, for example, working at a gas station, midnight shift. I'd rather do that. I would rather, for the people that out there, I know you're out there. I know friends that are out there and they're probably listening right now. The ones that are working concierge, you know, midnight shift at some condominium or something like that. I would rather have one of those jobs as long as I could still keep drawing and stuff for myself than to have an art job where it requires me to do crappy art all day. Art that they just want to bust out, churn out like a machine. And none of it's good enough for our portfolios. It's just overall just bad quality stuff because once you have to, do bad art that is bad, then you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy art as much anymore because constantly you're doing all these bad drawings. Then when you get home, when it's time for you to do your own stuff, well, you don't have that much motivation anymore because you were doing bad stuff all day, drawings that you didn't like all day. For me, it's quite hard. I know that there's some that it gives them the opposite effect, and that's completely awesome. So those type of people should definitely take those bad art jobs, to start building, motivation and everything to do better. But you know what I'm talking about. I'd rather keep that love of art for myself. Don't let anybody hurt it, and do the jobs that I don't enjoy that aren't related to art rather than doing art that I don't enjoy as a job just so I can work, professionally as an artist. But why do we need to have a job, somebody, to pay us money to do art for us to call ourselves artists? Think about how you feel deep down inside. Think about if you are an artist or not. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. That's the only you are the only person you need to prove uh, yourself to most of the time. Um, once you know that you're an artist, it's only a matter of time before you become an artist, and that's the honest truth. Once you are so sure of something, then it always comes true. It can't be too specific, of course, like saying, I am so sure I'm going to be an animator at Pixar. That's a little bit too specific. But if you are sure that you are an animator, man, it's just a matter of time now before you officially, quote unquote, officially become an animator where you're animating for some studio, making some awesome stuff. Don't let other people determine if you are what you always feel that you are. Don't let other people be in the position where whatever they say is what goes. Otherwise, if you do that, you have no control. You have no control of your life. Control of your life equals freedom. Freedom for many of us, for me, that means happiness. And of course, that's also why that's why I say that we need to be smarter financially. Artists need to be smarter financially because freedom nowadays is intertwined with money. Money causes so many problems nowadays that it takes away our freedom slowly and slowly. Until we're just swamped, debts and bills and everything, and we gotta have this thing called money before we can do the things that we want. So it's not to say that everybody should go out there and become money hungry. No. What I'm saying is we need to make sure that we are financially stable and get that problem out of the way so we could do some really awesome art that's for ourselves. I hope that's fair to say. That's totally what I believe. And I've seen so many different examples of it where they might start off in school or whatever thinking, I'm going to be a true artist. I'm going to be doing art for myself and I'm going to be, I'm going to stick to being a true artist, this and that. That's until they graduate, get out of school, have to move out of their parents' house or whatever it is and have to support themselves. We don't want that to become a problem. We want to be able to get the money problems out of the way and enjoy freedom because that's the best feeling in the world, honestly. You don't wake up uh, dreading the day. You actually wake up loving it. You look at the sun, it's a little bit more beautiful because you're in control of your life. I hope everybody is able to feel that at least once in their lives, because that's what I feel that life is about. It's about enjoying yourself, and for many of us, freedom is an essential component to really enjoying our lives. Now, in the very, very beginning, when I was just starting the studio, just broke away from Nelvana and started to do my own thing, there was a lot of pressure. There's a tremendous amount of pressure because I just bought a new place. My brother that started the studio with me, he just bought a new place. So there's all these bills coming up, and then we also had a couple other artists, friends of ours, join the studio, and basically in the beginning, everybody's depending on me. So this was one of those situations where it wasn't like I had kids, but all of a sudden I have these added responsibilities. When I was a kid, I was always that type of person to think to myself, if I had a chance to either make it or get reduced down to absolutely nothing and have to start all over again, I would take that chance. If it's a 50-50 chance or something like that, I would take it every time. But now things are different. Because before, if I failed, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't concerned because it was just me. I could take care of myself. I could pick myself back up. I know I could live hard. But now it's different because now I have a family. That all depends on me. My brother, my friends, we're all coming together, forming the studio, and I'm the one that's supposed to be spearheading the whole entire thing, right? So all of a sudden, I have to figure a way out to make lots of money to be able to support, the four of us every month. Now that is pressure because those kind of situations, if you screw up, not only are you screwed, but your own brother is screwed, your own family is screwed, right? Your friends are screwed, and all these guys are now your new family. That kind of pressure was something that I wish I could duplicate for every one of you that's listening to this podcast. But at the same time, I really wish that none of you are put into that situation because if you do fail, yeah, you're completely screwed. But that kind of pressure, for me, really opened my eyes to my own potential, to people's potential, to your potential, what all of us can do. That kind of true pressure really got me moving and got me practically possessed to do art, like non-stop, like crazy. And always, if I didn't have a job, I would be painting something else, making myself better, trying to understand, trying to get to that next level. Why? Well, it wasn't just for me, it was for my studio family as well. This was a situation where there is no do or die. There's only do. There is no absolutely, you cannot fail. There's only do. You cannot even think of the other option because not only are you dead, but your friends are dead. Of course, not real, but really, really screwed and have to start all over. And basically, since I'm in the driver's seat, I'm gonna feel most of that guilt. That made me work harder than I've ever worked before in my life, even back in college when I was pulling all-nighters all the time. After working that hard with that kind of intensity, that kind of motivation and everything, that's when my career really started to pick up really quickly because I was so driven. I was so darn driven to like improve, to always get to that next level that it's like I was possessed. So those kind of people, of course, you're gonna do well as long as you have some common sense as well, of course. But once you do start to do well, what happens to the pressure? Well, the pressure starts to disappear. The stress starts to go down. And of course, that's a good thing as well because pressure is a killer. Stress is a killer. Of course, it comes out in different forms like heart attacks and, high blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. But, it could be an amazing motivator, but it's not healthy, right? So I always try to stay calm, always try to be laid back and easygoing and don't let the pressure get to you no matter what the situation is. And that's what I hear is very common with many other occupations, like the best people in Wall Street trading millions of dollars every day. Most of them, they say that they take it as almost like a video game, just trying to get to that next level, try to make my points right now turn into more points. My millions of points right now turn into millions more. And that kind of relieves all that pressure, and a lot of times pressure, it could be a great motivator, but it could also destroy us. It could make us stress out way too much and, not do as well as we could have. It's like when you're drawing a drawing and you're thinking to yourself, you all of a sudden notice that your drawing is doing very, very well. It could be life drawing or something like that, something with a time limit, so even more pressure. And you're drawing this drawing, is starting off very well, and you keep saying to yourself, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. I gotta make an amazing drawing out of this one. And that's when it always screws up. Because you're thinking of a whole bunch of stuff that is really a lot more complex than you originally thought. Because to make a good drawing, you have to have good structure and good, anatomy and good lighting and all this, all that, all these different things to make a good drawing. The times where I find that I draw better is when I stop concentrating on, I gotta make a good drawing. This has to be a good demo. All these students are watching me. I gotta do something good. You know, the times where I do the best demos is where I'm not thinking about that at all. Instead, I'm thinking about what makes a drawing good. So I'm concentrating on structure. I'm thinking about the structure of the pose. I'm thinking about the pose itself. I'm thinking about line quality, lighting, all this different stuff. And I'm not thinking about that big, huge picture, which is I gotta make a good drawing. All these people are watching me. But anyways, I think we got sidetracked a little because what I really want to talk about was the fact that, as all this pressure starts to leave you, as you become more and more successful, that pressure that used to drive you so hard, it starts to die. What's going to happen to your drive? You got to be careful. You got to be really careful. Once things start becoming comfortable, and you don't have that pressure anymore, what's going to happen to your motivation? Why is it that we need something external to push us to do better? Why do we need uh, all these extra pressures of, being able to feed your children and do all this stuff? Those kind of crazy, real pressures to be able to push us. Why can't we just push ourselves? Because what we want to do, like painting a new painting and all this stuff, things that need a lot of motivation, these are all things that are good for us. It's funny how people, us as a society, myself included, absolutely, we feel that things that are good for us, actually, a lot of times it's not that good of a reason to do it just because it's good for us. Like quitting smoking, like not eating junk food. Of course, I eat junk food as well, every once in a while. But why is it? It's kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny that why is it that people, us, we need to wait for something to happen to us before we react? Many of us, anyways. Most of us, I'd say, a good 80, 90%, 90 something percent of us, to do the big moves, to do the big things in life, we have to wait for something to happen for us to, get that motivation to do it. Why do we have to wait like that? The answer is we don't. We don't need to wait for things to happen to us for us to get out of our seats and really start motivate or really start doing things and getting all motivated and everything. We don't need to wait for things to happen to us. There is nothing stopping us from going and becoming that action, to get the reaction. You know what I mean? Like so many people, we wait for that initial action, that initial something, before we react to it. For example, a job offer opens up and it's a really great studio, and you and your friends all start working super hard now to get your portfolios ready to get into that studio. That's something that happened, and if it wasn't for that opening, you wouldn't be doing anything. That's most of everybody out there. That's most of the population. I'm sure we could all agree on that. That's just, unfortunately, a lot of times that becomes like human nature. But if you are the type of person that instead of waiting for something to happen to get, a pleasant result, if you are the one to initiate that initial action, then all of a sudden you don't need to wait for things to happen to you to get to that next level. You are making things happen to you to get to that next level. For example, Kay Asadera, one of the beautiful illustrators that works with me, awesome, awesome, brilliant artist. And, a while back she said, you know what? I want to be a children's illustrator. Just out of the blue. She was doing great already, you know, working for Disney, working for this, working for that. And out of the blue, she's like, you know what? I want to be a children's illustrator. I was like, that's awesome. You would fit right in. How are we going to do this? Well, nobody's approaching us. There's nothing that's happening that we can react to, so why don't we make the first move? And she starts to paint and draw all these beautiful illustrations that are very, very, much geared towards children's illustration books. And then we had this idea where we're saying, okay, well, we're going to, she's going to do all these awesome children's illustrations, and then she's going to put together a children's book. Why wait for a publisher to pick you up? That was our thought, right? Why wait for a publisher to pick you up? We could just put together a children's book ourselves, print out 1,000 copies, get it made, and then go to our same conventions that we always go to, and sell the books there and make sure that everybody can see what it'd be like if you were a children's illustrator. What kind of books would you be making? That's how you get stuff going. That's how you start making things happen. And before she even made the book, she was approached by Random House and HarperCollins and all these other big time publishing houses. Just all of a sudden started to gather. Because when somebody is driven, and they are that sure of who they are and what they want to do with themselves, other people start to gravitate towards that. Just like how many of you have started to gravitate towards these podcasts, because I'm sure this is some stuff that people want to hear. These are things that help me, so why wouldn't it help others? These are the same kind of principles that I still follow. These are the same kind of beliefs that I still believe in. I really believe that I have, determined much of what has happened to me throughout my career. All very good things. Because I'm so sure of this, and it makes sense to you, if you are very sure that these things are true and these things will help your life, then they will. If you aren't that sure, and you might think that I'm full of a little BS or whatever, that's fine. Then it won't happen to you. Because some of the most valuable things in life are completely intangible. You can't touch it. You can't see it. You know what I mean? Like great ideas. Intangible. Drive. Belief. These kind of things. If you do not believe, it will never happen to you. If you do not, if you do not, really get yourself out there and self-motivator, things still might happen to you. But I guarantee if you are self-motivated, things will happen to you much, much quicker. Much quicker. So if you're listening to this and you have some goals, for example, I know many students listen to these podcasts, and if you're going into your next year where you have to create your beautiful illustration portfolio or your beautiful, film for animation, why wait? Why wait until school is telling you to start? Why can't you start right now? Is it because you have work? Because you have work to do and you come home and you're too tired or whatever it is? Who knows? There might be plenty of, and I'm sure there are, great excuses, not to do these things that I'm telling you to do. But I'm sure that there are many, many very, very good reasons for you to pick yourself up right now, go through a whole crappy day of work, get home, get possessed, sit down in front of your computer, in front of your drawing board, and start drawing like crazy. Because you're trying to get to that next level. Hopefully, that can be a good enough motivator for you to, dedicate a bunch of your time to constantly, to get to that next level. I guarantee if you believe, you do this with some common sense, you will succeed. And if you don't succeed, you'll succeed later on. If you fail once, you just gotta believe. You can't, it's all of a sudden belief again. You gotta believe that I am only failing this one time because fate is asking me, do I still really want this to happen? If I do, I'm gonna pick myself up and keep going. Keep going. Never stop. You could even try this. You could even try to do things for really no reason at all except for the fact that you said that you're going to do it. I went through a period of time like that where is actually the very moment I really committed and decided that I'm going to be an independent artist. I'm going to go on my own. I'm going to quit Nelvana. So at the same time, I quit eating meat. I quit drinking pop, coffee. I quit smoking and drinking or whatever. Anything that I felt attached to or perhaps slightly addicted to, I quit all those things for a month. There's no good reason to do this. There was actually not much reason at all except for the fact that I wanted to test myself and say, you know what? I'm going to say something, and I'm going to do it. Even if there's no good reason for it, I'm going to do it just to prove to myself I can. And once you do that, you could try this yourself. Quit all the things that you feel attached to, like meat or, uh, pop, fast food, whatever it is, drinking or smoking or whatever it is, and quit it for a month. And make sure that you do not fail, that you will succeed. There is no do or die, there is only do. And you must do it. You must complete it. Because if you do, I guarantee you will feel this sense of power, this sense of self-motivation that you've never felt before in your life. And you're going to feel like you are able to do anything. Because the most powerful thing, or one of the most powerful things in the world, is not being able to accomplish, goals because of all this stress and pressure and all these crazy reasons to do it. It's actually to accomplish goals for no good reason at all. That's power. When you can tell somebody, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna build a car out of popsicle sticks or something like that, and you actually do it, wow. The next time you say to that person that you're gonna do something, I guarantee they're gonna look at you again and think, yeah, I think this person might just do it because he said that he could do it, or she said that she could do it. And last time she said that she could do this, man, she spent a whole year making a popsicle stick car, and she actually did it. That's power. That's why I feel like if Forrest Gump was a real person, he would be just as successful as he was in the movies. Because he was doing stuff, amazing stuff, for no good reason at all. Like, I felt like running, and he just ran. He didn't stop for like ever and ever. And, all of a sudden, what happened? That became inspiration. That became so many amazing positive things for him. Playing ping pong, things like that. Uh, how I relate to that is like subway sketching. There's no absolute good reason that I need to go to the subway every Sunday. But I said that I would. I said that this is a good thing for me, and it's a good thing to help motivate others to, get out there and draw for themselves and everything. And I would go every Sunday unless I'm not in town. So 4 years later, or however many years later, I still go. I was just there last Sunday. Met a whole bunch of people, some new faces as well. It's been great. And if you're in Toronto, maybe this could be the very first thing that you're going to commit yourself to doing. And there is no do or die. There is only do. And come meet me on the subway. Come meet me on the subway because you know what? There is a good reason. It's to improve your art. A lot of times for many people, that's not a good enough reason. I don't really understand that because, to improve yourself is one of the best reasons to do something. Unless it's going to hurt others, of course, then you don't want to do that. Um, but anyways, you get the picture, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. So now that we're coming to the end with this painting, of course, this painting is in fast forward. Um, go out there and do something. Commit to making yourself better, to making your life better without waiting for things to happen to you to really motivate you to do them. If you got to do that, student film next year, start now and really take it seriously. Even if you have a full-time job, wake up extra early, go to sleep extra late, commit to yourself to get something done to better your lives. And if you stick to that, after you've accomplished this thing, go on to the next. Think about what the next thing is that you can do, that you can commit to really improve your lives. And I guarantee you're going to feel this amazing, amazing sense of energy, amazing sense of self-motivation, amazing sense of power that is going to be absolutely addictive and will change your life as long as you believe. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. This is Bobby Chiu, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast.